As photographers, high-end skin retention is a very essential part of the editing process, but doing it well and still retaining the skin texture and sharpness of your image is another thing. Of course, there are ways to create skin texture after destroying them, but why would you go through all that hassle when you can just preserve the original skin texture? I am Serenjo, and today I'll show you how to high-end skin retouch to clear blemishes and create a smooth skin while retaining the original skin texture and sharpness of your image with Photoshop in just some few minutes. Let's get started. Alright guys, welcome to Photoshop. I've got the image fired up already as usual. Now I shot this photo with the Canon EOS R and I shot it at ISO 400 with my Sigma 85mm f1.4 art lens. I shot the image at f5.6 just to get more of the subject in focus, and I shot it with a shutter speed of 1/200th of a second with two lights, one light from this side, that's my key light, and one light here just as my rim light. The rim light was quite harsh, but yeah, it was intentional, so I'll keep it like that. And I've already applied my color grade in Camera Raw. I didn't edit this in Lightroom or Capture One. I just did everything in Camera Raw, and this is the before and that is the after, before and after. I'll go through how I did the color grading in another video, but with this video we're just going straight to the point to do the retouching. Her name is Tash. I'll link up her handle in the description if she allows me. Alright, I'll go ahead and I'll duplicate the background layer, as I never really touch this layer. I always duplicate it and I edit from there upwards, just because when I'm done with everything and I want to see my before and after, it makes it easier. Do you get my point? Yeah, so I'll duplicate it like that, and I'll be using a Wacom tablet and a pen. I happen to have one lying around, so I'm using it. If you have one, that's cool. If you don't have a Wacom tablet, that's also fine. You should not have problems doing it with other graphics tablets as well. If you have a mouse, that's also fine. There were times I used the mouse to retouch and I did all right. Now, before I do the frequency separation on this image, as I always do, I try to remove some blemishes. So, blemish removal. For this, we're going to be using the spot healing brush tool. Shortcut is J, whether you're on Mac or you're on PC. And I'm going to try and remove these tiny ones, just some pimples and all that from the skin. Just try your best to remove as many as you can. Yeah, so using the spot healing brush tool is very easy. Just click where you want to remove and it does the job well. Just make sure the brush size is not too big. Take your time and do it well. If you use it and it destroys the texture there, you could always brush over it again and then fix it. It works. It is very easy using the spot healing brush too. You could also use the patch tool. Yeah, so for the patch tool, you select what you want to remove and you drag it to another place. You drag it to where you think is cool and you could fix with it. So it kind of replaces where you selected where you drag it to. And using it is easy as well. So just use that. Okay, so the patch tool is actually very easy to use. It's not difficult at all. You just need to be very patient with it. You could also use the third option, which is the clone stamp. I seldom use that too. And when you're doing frequency separation, I mean, if you've watched my previous videos, I always advise that you do it in the neck area as well. I know it's not easy and it's time consuming. When you just want to quickly finish and go do something else, you might be tempted to skip the neck area and the chest area and all that, but trust me, if you want your images to look good, if you want your frequency separation or whatever you're doing to look good, consider the limbs as well, and consider the neck and chest area as well. Yeah, so you can actually take your time and, you know, fix all these imperfections. Take your time and do it well. I've seen some hair strand here which I'm going to try and fix. For this, I'm going to use the spot healing brush to just going to brush over it like that, and that should help fix things. Not completely, but you know, it takes us somewhere. Right, you get the idea. I'm going to try and fix this too, so I'll just brush over it with the spot healing brush and remove it. Yeah, so remove this one too. So remove this one. Fix this one. And fix that one too. Right. So if you look at the before and after, we've done a lot. When you're doing it, it doesn't seem like a lot, but you are really doing a lot. One other advice I'd give is that when you're editing your pictures and when you're processing them and grading in Lightroom or wherever you're grading them, just don't add more sharpness, especially if your lens is sharp. You know, it makes the work hard when you're doing the retouching. You can always add your sharpness back later on. Okay, so for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave it as this so we can proceed. But you could actually take your time and remove all these ones from here, right? After getting here, I'll just check to see the hands if there is something to remove. It looks fine to me. I'll duplicate the layer again, Ctrl J or Command J, making sure the topmost layer is selected, and then I'll add my frequency separation layer. Now for my frequency separation, I'm going to use a blur radius of 4. If you have problems selecting the blur radius for your frequency separation, you can check out my video. I'll put the link in the description below, and I'll link it up here as well somewhere so you can use it. I'm using a blur radius of 4 because I've edited these photos already and they're on my Instagram, so you can check them out. I've edited and delivered them already. Right, I'll use a blur radius of 4 and I'll select my mixer brush 2. I'm going to reset the 2 here and reset 2, and I'm going to make sure I clean, and I set the wetness to, let's say, 10, and I'm going to decrease the flow as well, flow to about 40%. Yeah, that's what I'm going to use for this tutorial. Let's zoom in. So there are 2 ways to do, you know, the frequency separation. Now, one way is to use Gaussian blur. Well, Gaussian blur directly on the low frequency layer by using the lasso tool or any other tool to select the area you want to smooth in, and then using Gaussian blur on it. We'll try both today. Yeah, so I'll just brush. Now, when you're frequency separating, if you watch my videos, I've said it a lot of times, try to brush in the direction of the skin, yeah, and try to not over brush. Don't overdo it. Also, when you are stroking, be sure to not do one continuous stroke. Mind you, if you're using the mixer brush to listen to the name, mixer brush, so what it does is it mixes things, yeah. So if you brush, if you start brushing from a shadowy area to, you know, somewhere that has a lot of highlights, it is going to try and mix 2 of them, and it's not going to look great. So just try your best to not be lazy and take your time. Don't overdo it, because subtlety is key. Now, I know every photographer has their way of high-end retouching. Every photographer has their way of frequency separating. Now, for me, I just don't want to overdo it. Yeah, I want it to look as natural as possible. I don't want to create a very smooth skin that, you know, I think is unrealistic. To me, it is unrealistic. I don't know I know when it comes to retouching and editing, it is all about preference. Yeah, you do what you want. We all have our creative eyes and our creative minds. So what I might deem very nice might not be something you deem very nice. But for me, I believe in, you know, still trying your best to retain as much information as you originally started with. In as much as you want to smooth in skin and all that, you don't want to overdo it to the point that your model is unrecognizable. No, that's not what you're trying to do. Well, that's not what I am trying to do. So let's take it easy. See why I didn't mix these areas like this? I'm just going to hit undo because it destroys the contour of the face. So just lift the brush if you need to lift the brush. If you feel like, you know, you're doing too much, you could always hit undo and go back a step or two. And I think if you do frequency separation for a long time, you kind of gain the experience and you gain the confidence. You know you're doing it right. Or if you're still a beginner and you're still trying to get used to doing these things, you can always zoom out and then check to see if you're doing the correct thing, and then zoom in again. This model has well-defined jaw lines and, you know, well-defined facial features, if I should put it that way. But I want to preserve that. Just don't want it to look so flat, you know. So I'd actually be comfortable with leaving things like this, you know, and calling it a day, not overdoing it. Well, for the face, of course. I'll move down to the neck area. Now I've zoomed out for a reason. I don't want to overdo the neck area. So I just zoom out. I just do simple strokes like I'm doing now. And did you know that you can use your mixer brush to fix bad lighting? Somebody asked me once in the comment section of one of my videos that she wanted a video on how to fix bad lighting. I think I'll tackle something like that. But if I was to brush here, if I was to start brushing from somewhere else and then brush into where the highlights are, it kind of reduces the highlights a little bit. So that's just a tip for you. Don't overuse it though. All right. Now, I will remove this hair strand. I mean, I did remove it in the final image. You know how to remove it. So for the sake of this tutorial, just so we don't waste a lot of time, I am not going to remove that. I'm just going to leave it there. And this is what we have from our before to our after. Before to after. Notice that we've tried to smoothen the skin a little bit, but we've not overdone it to the point that she's unrecognizable. We didn't touch the lips because we definitely don't want to destroy texture in her lips. So we didn't touch the lips and we didn't mix the shadows with the highlights. At least we tried our best to not do that. From here, you can go ahead and do your dodge and burn, you know, just to make the face even well defined. You get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So that is it. That is how you frequency separate without destroying skin texture. I'll quickly touch on the second method before I end this video. So I'm going to delete the frequency separation layer and we're back to this one. So this layer is after doing the blemish removal. Yeah, okay, and we're going to create another frequency separation layer, a blur radius of 4, just because we know exactly what we want. I'm going to select my lasso tool, shortcut is L, make sure the feather is set to about 10, and I'm going to select an area to apply our effect to. Don't select, if you're using this method, don't select too close to the hairline, and don't select the hair as well. Mind you, if you hold shift and you draw, it's add, and if you hold alt or option, it is subtract. Yeah, so I'll select an area like that and I'll go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I will increase the blur radius. So say about, for this purpose, about 8, it should be fine. I'm using double what we selected, and that's a quick before and after. Let's go ahead and select a bit more. Notice how I've not selected all the face. You don't want to do that. Yeah, you can actually take your time and do it in pieces. Just going to go to filter, and I can select Gaussian blur there just to apply what we already applied. About 8. I didn't select this area. Oops, I didn't select this area, so I'm going to select it. Make sure it's not too close to these features, and filter, oops, sorry, filter and Gaussian blur. Let's add that effect there. Filter and Gaussian blur. Right, so this blurs everything out, but I don't really like this method for this reason. You see, even though it is smoothing the skin and all that, it is not seamless. You can see the skin tones are not well blended, you know. Due to this, I like the first method. Now what you can do is add them both. I've seen photographers add them both. Now a friend of mine showed me a video from Ronix Photography where he was on a tutorial and he was doing both of them. He used the first one and he used the second one too, and that's also cool. I think I've done it like that some time ago where I used both methods. There's nothing wrong with that, absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can use both methods in one photo if it works for you, or you can stick to one, so no problem with that. Just find the balance and find what works for you. Right, I'll be putting out a video on how to correct skin tones or how to color match skin. Notice that the area on the chest is not even, the colors are not even. This could be created by a lot of things. Sometimes the lighting that you used, you know, how close the light was to the face could make the face a little bit different in color as compared to the chest area or the hands or something. Sometimes too, it is just the model's skin, it's just how their skin is, and that's fine. You can fix that in post. So I'll be putting out a video on how to do that. I'll put out a video because starting out in photography, I always found it difficult to do that. So I've made a video on that and I'll be posting it after I post this one. So stay tuned for it. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope you picked up a thing or two. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. If you didn't like this video at all, please subscribe as well, as the next video might be something for you. If you have any questions, please drop it down in the comment section below and I'll be sure to answer you as soon as possible. See you in the next video. Be sure to keep smiling and as always, stay creative. Peace.